Hi everybody, this is the follow-up to the discussion topic on bringing home an adult dog when you already have a house full of dogs, or at least one dog at home. And I've done this quite a bit. I have been quite active in rescue. So I'm typically bringing home dogs that are a year old, 2 years old. The oldest dog that I brought home was 11, a little Brittany, 11-year-old Brittany. And so I've done this quite a bit. And because the dogs I have at home may or may not be as excited about our new family member as I am, there's a bit of a process I go through when I bring a dog home. Having a plan in place will help us avoid any conflict. So we want to help the dogs start off on the right paw, help them get along, help them have fun together, help them rest together, help them just enjoy each other's company without any conflict. And the more we can help them start off on the right foot, the right paw, the better our chances are that they'll be best buddies once they've all settled in. So there are some things to consider before you make your plan. So for instance, what is the social history of each dog? If your current dog at home has never had another dog friend, has never had a dog at home, this is going to be quite a culture shock for your dog. And we want to make sure that we're gentle and fair and kind when we bring home the new dog. And now they have to share all their wonderful people and things and sleeping spaces and all this stuff. Similarly for the dog that you're bringing in, you might not know the social history of that dog. Hopefully you can do some dog testing with the dog, get them around some other dogs before you bring them home so you have an idea. Most rescues will temperament test the dogs and have them around other dogs. And if you're getting your dog from a breeder or a friend, chances are they'll know some of the social history. So important to ask those questions to see if we have some positive social history. If neither of the dogs, or if one of the dogs even, has never had a dog friend, we want to be very careful that we introduce them in a way that promotes respect and boundaries and polite play if they're into playing. Some dogs aren't into playing, but we want to make sure that everything's polite. So the history of the dogs matters a lot when we make our plan. The next question to consider is, have any of the dogs had a history of resource guarding? So we can think of toys and bones. Obviously, those are ones that we hear a lot of that dogs guard from each other, but also sleeping spaces, that can be a big one. People, they're amazing friends, can be a source of resource guarding, and so can places that represent food. So under the kitchen table might be a space that's resource guarding. And near the pantry or the cupboard where you keep the dog food, that might be a spot where you'll see some resource guarding. If either of the dogs has a history of resource guarding, want to hit that hard when you come in. Lots of treats for sharing, lots of structure, some boundaries to make sure that we start off without resource guarding. Start off, your friend comes in or the new dog comes in, and immediately we are rewarded and create some positive emotional responses for sharing all the resources. And if you don't know, especially if you have a breed that is tends to go that way, some breeds are more likely to resource guard than others. For instance, American Eskimos and Border Collies, like I have in my house, quite common to see resource guarding in these breeds. Whereas a Golden Retriever, you might not see it as often. They're kind of more easygoing about stuff in general. There are always individuals within the breed, of course. If the dogs don't have a history of resource guarding, we still want to be proactive in preventing resource guarding from happening. And we can do that by making sure that nobody is going to steal from the other dogs. So if one dog has a prized sleeping space, make sure you interrupt another dog if they go over and try to push that dog out of that space. Or if one dog has a toy or a bone or is hanging out with a person, we want to interrupt the second dog from pushing that first dog away. That can build anxiety and resentment and frustration, and we might see behaviors come out of that. So be really proactive with that as well, so that we don't see those anxious behaviors build up. If you can't keep an eye on your dogs, if you're going to be busy in the kitchen, if you're going to be going out for a walk or doing something without them, separate them. If the dogs haven't built up a strong bond already, if they haven't had time to test out being around each other when they're sleeping and alone, or maybe pacing or barking at the door. Make sure they're kept separate when you're not watching, because those are times when some bad feelings can come up and then we start a little scrap and now we've got a problem to fix. It's much better to be proactive and prevent those problems from happening in the first place. Another consideration is the age, size, and energy levels of the dogs. So if there's a disparity between the dogs, that you might have some more trouble. So if you have a Chihuahua and a Great Dane, the chances of the Chihuahua getting hurt from the Great Dane trying to wrestle are a lot higher than if you had, say, 2 Springer Spaniels, both at 45 pounds. So the size difference, the age difference, and the energy level all dictates kind of how much we need to help make sure that we're being polite. If the 2 dogs are both 3-year-old retrievers and they're both happy, high energy dogs with great social histories, you relax a little more than if you're bringing home a guardian breed into another guardian breed home where the dogs don't have social history, or if one is old and one is young, or if one is, like I said, with the Chihuahua, 5 pounds versus 105 pounds. That makes a big difference. The lower energy dogs often need a break from the higher energy dogs, and you might not even notice it's happening because sometimes dogs don't realize that not playing is an option. They don't realize they can just stop playing. And if the second dog is kind of a bully in your face, like, come play with me, the first dog who doesn't want to play anymore might not feel they have an option, so they can keep playing and end up playing and becoming overtired and then snapping out of frustration because they don't know how to stop the play. So if you have different energy levels, step in, enforce some breaks, and then you can allow the older dog or the lower energy dog an option to see if they want to go re-engage with the higher energy dog. Take them apart, tether or crate, or have one person hold each, put them on the beds, somehow keep them separate, and then allow the lower energy dog the choice. Do you want to go play again, buddy? Or do you want to come cuddle on the couch? Or do you want to go into this room? Give them some options. Give them an out. Very important to teach them that that's an option. If either of the dogs has a history of aggression, has done some damage to another dog, please consult a professional. Have someone help you make a plan. Don't wing it and hope it goes well. That's where a professional's eyes on the situation might see things that we need to interrupt and change before they go sideways. First, and always be safe. We never want anybody, either the resident dog or the new dog, getting hurt because we didn't set them up for success to start. If you have dogs that are going to need some time to integrate, give them that time. That is one of the hardest things for us humans to give our dogs, just time. They often need that, and we just want things to be happy and rainbow-filled right now, but the dogs might need 3 months or 6 months or even a year or more to settle in, depending on how the dogs' histories are, how the dogs feel about each other. So take your time, let them set the pace, and make sure you get there with as little conflict as possible. Hopefully you bring home a friend and you have dogs who are now best friends immediately, and you can't imagine ever not having that dog. Lastly, remember that your dogs are there for you first. Make sure you give them lots of one-on-one time. Keep doing those activities that you did with your other dogs, your original dogs, to begin with. Start something new so that you bond very closely with the new dog as well. Often, if the dogs are getting along well, we just let them be best friends, and then that makes it a little harder for us training-wise when it comes to recall and obedience and things, because now they've got their new best friend. They don't need us. So make sure you still take the time to reinforce your bond with your original dogs and create that bond with the new dog so that you can feel calm and confident going out in the world, that you have the relationship in place with each dog so that you can call them back, or that you can ask them to sit and not jump on the strangers. Make sure that you don't love them being best friends so much that you kind of push yourself out of the picture.